have chosen the best friend's brother as the anchor for this story. That night, just past midnight, I found a message on my phone that burned through the quiet like a spark in dry wood. I am leaving him. I am done with this life I built with you. The words rattled in my chest and then settled into a hollow ache, as if someone had carved out a space where my breath should be. I stood by the window and watched the streetlights blur into silver rain while the house kept its secrets. And it was then that the weekend plan with Sara and her brother, Daniel, rolled in like a storm I knew I should turn away from, but could not resist. I am 38, a project manager who can juggle budgets and deadlines with the precision of a metronome, and I have learned to wear a calm like a coat that fits just right. I married the life I thought I wanted 20 years ago. A steady paycheck, a small apartment that grew into a home, a circle of friends who knew my rituals and kept my confidences. My husband, Mark, always spoke in quiet tones about the future, and I nodded as if the future was a shelf that already held our gifts. Sara, my closest friend since college, invited me to a weekend at her family lake house. A chance to breathe and pretend that the world outside our circle didn't know our names. The weekend began in the bright kitchen, a chorus of dishes clinking and coffee brewing, while the lake offered a slow blue mirror to the world outside. My life had been orderly for so long that the first whisper of danger felt almost like a dare. The moment I saw Daniel across the room, his eyes at once protective and curious, my hands forgot their own maps. We talked about the weather and the small disasters of urban life, about the way rain sounds when it hits a tin roof, about the ache of waking up in a house that is too quiet, when a marriage feels like it belongs to someone else. It should have stayed simple, a quiet weekend, a polite proximity, a reminder that some doors are meant to stay closed. But when the group settled into shadow and glow on the veranda, when Sara finally gave up and sank into the chair with a sigh that smelled faintly of lavender soap, Daniel looked at me with a different shade of gravity. There was no intention in it, not at first. Only the sense that we were both listening more intently to the other's silence than to the night wind through the pines. The air between us grew thick, as if we were two actors reading from the same page, without ever saying the line aloud. The inciting moment arrived not with a bang, but with a breath. I walked away from the group, the kettle whistling behind me, and found the bathroom window open to a chill that tasted like winter and memory. When I returned, I saw his chair was empty and my pulse stuttered, until I found him standing at the edge of Sara's property, looking toward the water as if the lake hid a truth only he could hear. He did not apologize for finding me there. He just walked closer, and my skin remembered the thing it had forgotten to feel. We spoke in low voices, about the fear of endings and the strange courage that comes with admitting you want what you should not have. The weekend's rules did not vanish, but they blurred into something more dangerous, the knowledge that a second chance might hide behind a forbidden doorway if you dared to test it. If this confession has you on the edge of your seat, hit like and share, because you will not believe what happens next. The next dawn, after a night that tasted of rain and unresolved sentences, I found myself at the edge of a choice I would not have believed I could make. My husband's voice floated through my memory, a soft admonition about loyalty and keeping promises, and I felt the old tenderness twist with a new fear, that I was already too far from the life I had built to reach back. Daniel spoke of divorce as if it were a doorway that could be opened gently, a hinge that would not creak if we asked it to move with care. He did not promise grandeur or fireworks. He spoke of late breakfasts on a sunlit deck, of holding someone again not because I was broken, but because I deserved to be seen, by someone who would stay and hold the space when fear roars in. His words did not erase the ache in my chest. They rearranged it into something warmer, something that could perhaps heal rather than merely numb. The rising action poured through the days like warm rain. I watched my own reflection blur in the glass, while the outside world moved with a quiet insistence, and I learned to tell the truth to my own tremor without letting it swallow me. The house between visits to the lake became a sanctuary and a witness, a place where I could hear my own longing without flinching away. The scent of Daniel's cologne lingered in the guest room, a subtle reminder that desire can arrive on a thread and pull you toward a future you never planned. Yet there was also a practical thread to hold on to: Sara's unwavering loyalty, the tenant who rents the tiny studio above the garage, a young painter named Leela who spoke softly of boundaries and of the need to mend what has been broken, and the way her quiet courage pressed me to name the hurt I had carried for years. The truth I learned is as old as breath. Healing requires more than desire. It requires intention, and intention is a rare, stubborn flame. We face the consequences with the corners of our mouths tugging into careful smiles. I told Mark I needed space, not because I had stopped loving him, but because I had to listen to the call of a deeper truth. He did not storm or plead. He listened, and in listening, he allowed the space for mercy to find us. Mercy not as forgiveness for a single act, but as a recognition that love can be a river with many channels. Daniel and I did not rush into a declared future. We walked through days with the slow, careful pace that truth requires. We chose to be honest with Sara, to keep our distance from any crowd of gossip, to define our boundaries with the tenderness that a person needs when a heart learns to beat to a new rhythm. And in that slow burn of careful steps, I found a renewed sense of self, the woman who could love another with a clean, unguarded heart. The woman who could say yes to a second chance without fear. The finale is a soft dawn after a long night, a moment when the world feels less like a trap and more like a road that promises small, real happiness if you have the courage to walk it. I am still learning the shape of love that doesn't need to shout its name, just its presence. I am learning that a life worthy of a second chance is built not on grand gestures, but on the small, steady choices that keep faith close and fear at bay. The future with Daniel remains unwritten, but the path ahead glows with the steady light of possibility. If you crave more raw, emotional confessions, please like, share, and subscribe. Your next chapter awaits. And as we close this chapter, I wrap the memory of the lake around me like a shawl, a reminder that sometimes the most daring love is the one that teaches us to value ourselves enough to choose a gentler, truer tomorrow. A tomorrow where the heart learns to trust again, where the quiet consent of two grown souls can cradle a second chance and turn it into a lasting surrender to the hope that love, at last, can be enough. Emotional storytelling, forbidden love, second chances, mature romance, infidelity and marriage, love after loss, grief and healing, tenant love story, romantic narration, YouTube romance, healing through love, slow burn romance, older woman, younger man, heartfelt story, true feelings, emotional connection, faceless love, Olivia and Marcus, narrative romance, love found me.